What's up, everybody? Thank you for viewing my tutorial, and today's tutorial will be on creating personal punchlines in a rap battle. Um, when you're in a physical rap battle, it's real easy to come up with material because you see what the person looks like, you know what they're wearing, you know who their crew is, you know where they're from, you know their name. When you're on a battle on a forum, you don't have all that material at your hands. You only have what the person you are battling is willing to let free on the internet. They are the ones who create their own dirt. So this is a good time to also tell you, when you are on the internet in these forums, you want to watch everything you say, because everything you say can and will be held against you. So creating personal punchlines. I just got done creating a tutorial on creating nameplate punchlines. And one thing I want to go over real quickly and briefly, what I was going over in that tutorial was a punchline, or a bar. A bar equals two lines. Two lines as in one line and another line. That is a bar right here. Two lines is one bar, and they are made up of a setup line, and the second line is the punchline. And I always like, this is the punchline and this is the setup line, and it just as it says, the setup line sets up the punchline. And as I explained in my creating nameplate punches, I always make my punchline first, and then I come back in and I fill up my setup line. So a bar is two lines made up of a setup line and a punchline, and the punchline is what gets made first, and then the setup line is what gets done last, as filling it in. So what we're gonna do, I've opened up a site, and it's called rapdogs.com, and I do not suggest you go there to battle or to be a member, because simply I suggest you go to my forum, which is battlegrounds.com. This is the portal page, and this is the forum right here, and this is where you should be battling, and you should be a member. So let's go back to rapdogs.com. Now, what I got this site open for is, I'm just going to pretend that I'm battling something. I want to make this tutorial live, as I was really battling somebody and contemplating on writing my verse and putting it together for him. I'm not going to work. I'm just going to do a couple bars. If I did 10 lines or something, it would take too long in this tutorial and it would get drug out. So we're just going to do a couple bars on creating personal punchlines. Okay, so when you say personal versus nameplate, you want to look at a person's name, as I said in my last tutorial, and you just want to clown on their name in certain ways. If you want to listen to that, go ahead and check that tutorial out. But this, you want to actually get personal into their life, or who they are, or their persona on the internet. You want to find personal digs on them. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and just find a random name. Here we go, KMC. KMC will be the person that I will be battling, hypothetically. We're just going to pretend I'm a member here. He called me out. I accepted, and now I'm setting into a battle with KMC. So the first thing I do when I do get into a battle is I go to my editor, which in this case is WordPad. Sometimes I'll use Notepad. It makes no difference what editor you use, or if you don't have to exactly follow this strategy, but this is one that I really highly recommend, because it helps you organize your verses. Okay, so what did we say his name was? KMC, was it? Okay, so the first thing I do is I'll jot down the person I'm battling's name, KMC, and I'm not making nameplates once again, as I already said. So I'm not gonna look into his name for nameplates. We're going for personal punchlines, so we need some concepts. So concept one, what I do is I go back to the site where where I'm battling the forum, and that is Rap Dogs again. I go to KMC and I'm going to try to find some personal information on him. I'm going to view his profile, and here it is, KMC's profile. First thing you do at a forum mostly is go to his About Me, and we'll find out some things about him. Let's see, he's 25 years old. He was born April 5th, 1991. His bio is destroying you weaklings. These could be concepts. I could try to find something on this date that's relevant and that could clown him, something that happened significantly. Destroying you weaklings. He's only trying to battle the weak. Is pretty much, I could use that concept. Location, walking on water. Where you think you're a god or something. Artist and influences, M. Nas. Okay, I dig that. Jay, no, I can't stand him. Lil Wayne, he's alright. Good punchline in a way. Royce 5'9", yes. Manson, Nirvana. Okay, here we go. Nirvana. He killed himself. So we could go ahead and we could use that for a concept. His artist influence is Nirvana. So I go back to my WordPad, and that's my first concept. Concept 1, his influence is Nirvana. And I'll go ahead and write right here that Nirvana killed himself. And I understand that we all know that. I'm not reminding myself that Nirvana killed himself. I'm reminding myself that this was a concept, that I thought of immediately. And I'm going to base my punchline on that. Okay, let's go ahead and find one more punchline. Now, this is the punchline that we just concept we just found was from going through his About Me. That's one strategy. Another strategy is to find his post. And what they do in their post is they tend to give up information about themselves in conversations. They don't even realize they're having a general or random conversation, but they're actually giving up dirt about themselves because people like us are looking for something they say. So let's see, it's a Haze in the Stay. This is a freestyle cipher. We don't want it ciphers. This is a battle, KMC battle, diss the MC above you, another cipher, KMC Joker. A mofo, welcome brother, let's see what you got. He's introduced seriously. When you elevate to my level, you will look back and realize he's bragging here. Check in, match my bar count, chump. You have to be kidding me, dude. I can drop 50 bars or some weak shit too all day. What? Stop dropping the thesis. I will get a D in any major. Can't fuck with my wordplay. This dude right here is not humble at all, for sure. He's sellers, you little faggot. He kind of comes off already to me like he thinks he's the shit. Y'all verses are so straight lyrically burning your homos. This is distant MC above you. I'm looking for something where he is saying something about his personal life. He's telling a story, or he's commenting something. Let's see, lost about it. Believe me, I know the feeling. I had a ton of writtens on my notepad on my phone when I coincidentally dropped it in the water. This sounds like he is saying something that happened in his personal life. Writtens on my notepad on my phone when I coincidentally dropped it in the water and water as well. So here he's telling us that he keeps his writtens on his phone on his notepad, but he coincidentally dropped it in the water. So this is a good concept. Here we could use, he's already gave us some dirt, which is basically saying his skill is drowning. His words were on a notepad in his phone, but his phone fell in the water, so his skill is drowning. Maybe we could do something like that, and try to come up with a good, decent punchline out of that. So I go back to my WordPad and I paste my concept in here. This is what he said. And another thing I like to do is I'll go back to the site here, and on these forums there's post numbers here where they're typical. They don't always look like this, but it's typical to see something like this. You click this and this will take you to the post itself, the singular post itself. That way you can link straight to it if you want. I'll copy that link or that URL, and I'll bring it back over to my WordPad so I can have it and just in case I want to go back and reference it for any reason at all. Okay, so I got my two concepts. Influence is Nirvana. There's not Nirvana killed himself. Believe me, I know the feeling. This is about him dropping his phone in the water. Okay, so let's see. I want to play some name play on Nirvana as well, because if you say Nirvana, nerve on like the nerve on a brain. Okay, so nerves on the brain. What do nerves on the brain do? They send nerves on the brain send messages to your brain. Your nervous system sends messages. So let's see, and that could kill you if you could go and that's how people get anxiety and stuff. Because I could kill you with these messages like nerve on a brain. I think that makes sense. Let's see. For this concept, that was quick. Let's see. Because I could kill you with these messages like nerve on a brain. Okay, so this is my punchline. Remember, I'm setting up my punchline first, and then I'll come back and fill in my setup line. So the punchline is pretty much made. I might need to tweak it a little bit because I could kill you with these messages like nerve on a brain. So I could kill you with these messages as the nerves are sending messages to the brain, which can kill a person if they're the wrong messages. Like what happened to Nirvana, his influence. He got the wrong messages sent to his brain, and they killed him. So, because I could kill you with these messages like nerve on a brain. That's genius, if you ask me. Okay, and that came very, very fast. So now we need to come up with a setup line. Like I said, we made the punchline first. Now we need to make the setup line, which is relevant to the punchline and sets up the punchline. So, and we need to let the audience know where we got it. So we need to let them know that his influence is Nirvana, because that's what he says. So, and also we want to try to come up with some multi-syllable rhymes to end our rhyme. Nerve on a brain. We don't just want to rhyme brain, because that just kind of makes it dull. We want to come back a little bit. Nerve on a brain, or on a brain. Word, that's insane. Word, that's insane. Influence is Nirvana. Word, that's insane. Let's see. Senior influence is Nirvana. Word, that's insane. Yeah, how about that? Let's see. Let's try that. Your influence is Nirvana. Word? That's insane. Oops. Okay, so there we go. And now what we're doing here is we have Nirvana. We have Nirvana listed up here. So if anybody who has has a good intellect, they can see Nirvana and Nirvana. And some people might not get this bar because it's so deep and so complex, but it's a good bar if you ask me. So it's a personal punch. His influence is Nirvana. Senior influence is Nirvana. Word? That's insane. Let me fix this. I'm sorry. Oh, I got this on there wrong. That's insane. Okay, senior influence is Nirvana. Word? That's insane. Because I could kill you with these messages like nerve on a brain. Okay, bam. I could kill you with these messages like nerve on a brain. Some people would do this and go Nirvana / nerve on a. You could do that. I might do that. I hate separating with these little expos on the side, but these explanations. But I think this one might need it. just so people could get the understanding. Nirvana brain. Okay, so there goes a punchline right there. There goes our first concept. We created a personal punchline by digging into KMC's uh, uh, about me, and we found his influences Nirvana, and he would never think that this would work against him so terribly. Okay, so let's go on to our second concept, which is him dropping his cell phone in the water, uh, and let's see, dropped his in the water and lost all his writtens on his notepad. So, um, let's see. What I got out of this as soon as I saw it was the lines. So his cell phone. I'm gonna compare his cell phone and his rhymes. So lines connecting. So was his lines, his rhymes that was on his cell phone, were they connecting? And the lines when you're using a cell phone connect. So something like making calls was the only time your lines were connecting. You see, so that could be the punchline. Making, let me see, let's see. His lines weren't connecting in his phone. The ones he had, the writtens on my notepad on my phone. Those weren't connecting. So, um, making calls was the only time your lines were connecting. So making calls was the only time your lines were connecting. Okay, so we're going off of this, and this is our punchline. Remember, we made our punchline first, so we got a punchline. It looks like it might need more of an introduction, but that's a good start for a punchline. Um, and we need to make it relative, because if we just said, hey, making calls was the only time your lines were connecting, nobody would understand it. But the setup is going to explain what he has told us, and the phone, and we're pretty much just are in his comment, and he didn't even know he was giving up dirt. He was just conversating, but we found this, and we are going to turn it into material. So we're just going to basically reiterate what he said in the setup line to set up the punchline. So, so had writtens in your phone, then dropped it in water. Let's see, lines are connecting. Dropped it in water, mighty depressing. Lines were connecting, and then we can rhyme multis. Mighty depressing, lines were connecting. That's a good slant rhyme. So what is it? You had writtens in your phone, then dropped it in water. That's mighty depressing. Okay? Making calls was the only time your lines were connecting. So let's see. So we can go with we're reiterating what he just told us here. Had what would we say? Had writtens in your phone. Had writtens in your phone, but dropped it in water. And we'll turn that into a question. Dropped it in water. Mighty depressing. Mighty depressing. We're going to say, damn, we're going to put some urgency on that. Mighty depressing. Making call. But let's be honest. Let's be honest here. Let's see. But let's be honest. Making calls was the only time, and then see how I'm coming off. This is stretched out to a second line, but you see, there's tricks you can do to make this. You want to keep it all on the same line. This line's kind of stretched here compared to this line or this bar up here. This bar is kind of stretched here. It's going all the way across the screen, and it's also dropping off. How I would fix this is I could come up here. Your Y-O-U-R can be switched to your, and there we go. It's that little bit is what saves us. So let's see. Had writtens in your phone but dropped it in water. Mighty depressing. But let's be honest. Making calls was the only time your lines were connecting. See that right there? Making calls was the only time your lines were connecting. So your phone was only connecting with lines when you were making calls, not when you were writing in your notepad. Huh. There we go. So we've made two concepts. And once again, this is where it says this is where a lot of people look down on this, especially veterans. But this is where your post for this comment could come in action. Because if somebody says, "What in the hell is this guy talking about? Writing written in your phone, but dropped it in water." Now, what you would do is you would use um, BB codes, which is barcodes, and it's like this, form codes. URL equals, and then here's the URL. You put it in there, and I don't know why it wants to break there, and then you close it with that, and then you would put the wording that you would want to turn into a link in between the URL, and then close it with a URL like that. I don't know if you know about this stuff, and then this would turn this into a link. So if somebody wanted to say, "What is he talking about?" they could click the link and it will take them to this comment. So, "Had writtens in your phone but dropped it in water, mighty depressing. But let's be honest, making calls was the only time your lines were connecting." So here we go with two personal bars. Personal punchlines for KMC. And that is how you write personal punchlines. You research, come up with concepts, and turn them in, formulate them into decent punches. And you always want to use an editor to help you out with this stuff. Okay, so let's go over it one more time. Senior influence is Nirvana. Word? That's insane, because I could kill you with these messages like nerve on a brain. Had writtens in your phone but dropped it in water? Mighty depressing. But let's be honest, making calls was the only time your lines were connecting. So there you are, and there goes how you create personal punchlines. I hope this tutorial helps you out, and it should, and this is how you should do it. Do not use generalized punchlines that could be aimed at anybody, because that is looked down upon, and most of the concepts, the general concepts, are widely played out because this stuff's been going on forever, and there's been so many brains thinking and roasting on what kind of concepts could be used, especially in a general manner. So this is how you do it, and good battle, KMC. All right, so till next time.